So, happy 2021. Welcome to the Silver Screen Show. I am once again joined by Abu, and Chris is back with us. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Hoping that this year will be better than the last.
Aren't we all? How was your Christmas Eve?
It was good. Got to watch a couple of movies. Got to go to the Prince Charles Cinema. First time in a cinema for about 9 months.
Oh, really? That's good.
So that was enjoyable. The film I was a little more underwhelmed by, but that's not one of the films we're going to be reviewing today. So I'll a few details on that as possible.
Yes, so the film we are reviewing today is Soul, which was recently released on the Disney Plus streaming service. And just a sort of tagline, it's a struggling musician who is transported out of his body and must find his way back to Earth and avoid going to the great beyond with the help of an infant soul who's learning about herself. And I will throw it to Chris for your initial thoughts on the movie.
Well, 3-word review would be really enjoyed it. It was really interesting ideas, in some ways more philosophical than any kids film I'd ever seen before. That was actually went a long way to confronting the way I think about the world as well, and arguing the ideas of achieving everything that you've ever dreamed of and actually living life in the everyday. So that's the fundamental conflict that the protagonist is faced with throughout the film. And it's a really interesting character and a really interesting, well, worlds, plural, within the spiritual realm and within the earth. And it's really great how both areas of it manage to combine. And obviously it's not just a philosophical treatise. There is, interesting, funny characters throughout as well, including from voice actors you might not expect. Graham Norton has a great role, Richard Ayoade as well, Jamie Foxx in the lead role too. So there's loads of great stuff to take from this, and if you've enjoyed pretty much all or any of previous Pixar films, I'd be very surprised if you weren't thoroughly enjoying this one too.
Brilliant. Yeah, I totally agree. I think personally, again, it challenged my view on the world, and I think the idea was lovely of having kind of a child's or an infant's mind inside an adult body, and how it completely changes your perspective on the world. And where she gets really excited about really tiny things which we just go, oh, that's just everyday life, but it flips that on its head and goes, well, no, that's what makes life beautiful. Abu, what was your opinion?
I was going to say, I went into this movie blind, to be honest. I had no idea what it was about, and so, I didn't really want to spoil myself off. It's too late to really read about it. Let's just watch it. And I could identify the guy in a middle-age crisis, to be honest, midlife crisis. I'm like in my 30s now, so I'm like, I identify with this hero. But I did love the whole idea and the concept of the film. Though I do think it wasn't one of the more emotional films that Pixar made. I do think in the second half of the film, it didn't hit it as well as it could have, I believe. I think it started off really well, but by the end of it, I think they did really cop out a bit in a sense, and it didn't have a strong ending as I think it could have had. But in general, I think it's a great film, and I do think British cast as well, like Richard Ayoade. I was like, I know this guy's voice. Who is it? It sounds so familiar.
Yeah. Oh, I clocked him straight away. I was like, oh my God, it's Graham Norton and Richard Ayoade. What the hell?
Yes, it's good to see the British talent being represented. But it was a great concept, and I do like the interaction between the new soul and the soul who's really done it all. So they're kind of, at conflict with one another.
So yeah, that's voiced by Tina Fey, which again took me a little while to figure out who was voicing her.
Yeah, I had no idea that it was Tina Fey until I looked it up afterwards. But I went into it very blind as well. I hadn't really read anything about it. I just knew that it had like jazz, soul, sort of background to the movie, which I really enjoyed. I think the music in it was really enjoyable as well, and I think the score was really lovely, and the piano piece that he plays for me was really emotional. So I'd probably disagree with the end sort of third act of the movie. I thought it was really emotional. I cried, my boyfriend cried. I think it depends.
Don't out him, man. Come on.
Hey,
don't out.
real men cry. Real men cry.
I'm not saying he didn't cry now. I should watch it again and make sure I get the tears flowing.
But I think Pixar do a great thing of like relating to different people in different films. So like for us as like kind of we're like personally I'm like a bit of a pessimistic person, like spouts of depression here and there, so it's like trying to find something from a different perspective, and like just the realizations at the end of the film as well regarding like purpose and meaning, and I think that really hit home for me, because like finding a meaning to any of this is really difficult, and it's kind of like, well, if you don't put so much pressure on that, then you're going to enjoy your life more, and realistically, like you can find your own meaning to life. It doesn't have to be like what you do as a job or any of those things, you know. It's just life is there to be lived at the end of the day, and I thought that really that struck a couple of buttons for us.
You mean not being stuck in the office 24/7 executing trades and stuff? That's living life, isn't it?
Well, actually,
who are Pixar to judge?
Yeah, that reminds me, actually, the Lost Souls was I thought that was a brilliant representation.
That is one thing I would have to criticize the film for, from my perspective, is the first half hour in heaven was very confusing. They were moving very fast with a very wide variety of concepts, and I was a little bit lost, and I know that many people of all ages would have been a little bit lost trying to follow that as well. The film righted itself a bit after that, and when you got into the plot line with what's her name, 22? And the protagonist, but prior to that I was a little bit up in the air for a bit.
I think that's a fair criticism to have of that kind of the great before, I think they call it, where all of the souls are, you know, being I thought they tried to inject like a little bit too much humor into that as well, and it's like, oh, we're putting too many people into the arrogant personality build or something like that, and I was like, I mean, don't piss off half of your audience right off the bat.
I think I'm a bit more on the middle, to be honest. I do think the whole body switching aspect of the film could have really been reduced a lot more. I think I would have preferred more of the afterlife heaven stuff and the conflict between that, rather than them just doing this body swapping comedy, which I think kind of went on a bit too long for my liking. And by the time it came to that, you knew what was going to happen with the body swapping antics. I think you just took up a bit more of the runtime than it really should have. I think we do have a lot of sort of like body switching comedy type. Exactly.
Well, I think actually for me the protagonist Joe did get a little bit annoying. He was like really like, oh, I've got to get to this gig, and it was like pretty one note for that entire sort of middle stretch. But I like the contrast between like him as the cat and then him at the end of the movie.
In some ways you can almost argue this film is the opposite of Whiplash, in which this guy is so obsessed with becoming part of a jazz group that it kind of completely consumes him, and he completely consumes the whole way through. While Soul is like, actually he didn't need to be betrayed and tortured by this completely psychotic teacher. He could have just been a bit more chill with everything.
Okay, so I think we've pretty much covered the whole film. Have either of you got any last comments to add?
No, I think that pretty much covers all angles.
Abu?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay,
so overall in the whole Pixar spectrum, where would you guys place it?
That's a tough one.
I
let's just say upper third, middle third, lower third. Let's just make it thirds. Make it easy.
Upper third for me.
Upper third for me as well. Like it, just in my mind, I've got like cars and planes and stuff. That it's just like that's definitely the bottom. The like Toy Story, like 3 and 4 is probably in the middle. But I think this is upper for me.
Toy Story 3 is my favorite, actually.
I saw Cars 3 over the Christmas. It was amazing, man. I don't know what.
Abu's favourite ever Pixar film is Cars 3, okay?
I didn't say it's my favourite, but I said it's very it's a film I can just sit down and watch, you know, and just wander away.
Where
I
would
think
you?
for me, I'd probably put in the middle third, to be honest. I just didn't connect with this movie as much as you guys probably did. I don't know why. It's just a film I didn't really. I think they tried a bit too much, and I just don't think the ending they really nailed it. I mean, I can talk afterwards, like in a spoiler on why, but yeah, that's for me.
Okay, let's. I'll go to Abu first with your marks out of 10.
Damn, it's 10 now, isn't it?
Yes.
I
Upped it.
Yeah, I'll give it a 6. I think it's fairly right in the middle for me.
Okay.
I just think a few tweaks could have made it better for me, but for me, it's right in the middle.
Okay, and Chris?
Leaning between an 8 and a 9. I'm gonna go for an 8.
I'm gonna go with an 8 as well. I think for us, I think we're on the same page.
So what does it aggregate into? Who does the averages?
I don't know. I haven't done maths. I'm in lockdown. I don't have to use my brain. it's the Christmas and New Year.
I'll edit in the average at the end. I think it's like a 7.5.
Divided by 3. Good luck with that.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining us again, Chris. It's been really good catching up, and we will see you at our next review. Bye.